Good evening and welcome to Sunset News this Friday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, and sports. I am Glenora Shipura. In the news tonight, as part of their efforts to bring services closer to the people, the Health Ministry yesterday held a groundbreaking ceremony for the Windhoek District Hospital in Havana informal settlement, officially inaugurated by Vice President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, slated to be completed in 2027. The hospital will have 500 beds, alleviating Katutura hospital service delivery and curbing the scramble for healthcare services by the public, which, according to Health Minister Dr. Kalumbi Shangula, leads to overcrowding and health workers' capacity constraints. Giving the keynote address, the Vice President said there is a need for everyone to embrace the idea of a healthy nation. Let's take a look.
A sick nation is a non-productive nation, and a non-productive nation will remain underdeveloped, and people will continue to suffer in poverty. Hence, a need for all of us to embrace the idea of a healthy nation. Our government will continue to provide and determine and as a leaders, we are focusing to make a healthy and social welfare service effective and efficiently. You might recall effective and efficiency has been the password of our past president, Dr. Hage Geingob, who says you can be efficient, but if you are not effective, it's just like you have not done anything. So therefore, we are committed to ensure that our social wealth services will be both efficient and effective, and also to create a condition for communities, households, and individuals to take control of their health. And this will be done when all of us as a nation are committed and be part of the process.
Fly Namibia says it is unfazed about proposed Qatar airline for Southern Africa. Instead, the homegrown airline says the return of Qatar Airways will be a boom for air travel within Namibia and the sub-region. MarketWatch engaged Fly Namibia MD Andre Campion on the impact the proposed airline would have on his airline's operations within the sub-region. Fly Namibia currently offers services to Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe, and Cape Town, South Africa from its hub at the Hosea Kotako International Airport and is eyeing an entry into Luanda, Angola. Qatar is taking an equity stake in an existing airline. We are not concerned at all and hopes that the move away lead them to resuming their flights to Windhoek, Campion said. Campion further noted not to be drawn into speculation regarding Qatar Airways' possible takeover of Fly Namibia's equity partner Airlink, which is Southern Africa's largest airline by destination flown, amid murmurs that it was looking to buy the South African airline. We honestly do not know. I am not aware of any such deal with Airlink. I've seen the speculations but cannot confirm anything, he said. Qatar Airways will soon announce an investment in an airline in Southern Africa, its CEO said last week on Wednesday, part of the Gulf carrier's drive to expand its network in Africa, Reuters reported. Mir, who became CEO in November, said the southern part of Africa was a gap in Qatar Airways' network coverage on the continent. He added that Qatar Airways wants to expand the fleets of its partner airlines in Africa to improve connectivity. In our next story, Deputy Finance Minister Maureen Hinda-Mwende has applauded steps taken by state agencies to curb incidences of illicit financial flows, saying it has wide socio-economic ramifications on society. Hinda-Mwende made the remarks during the opening of a workshop held to help address state institutions and agencies effectively deal with IFFs. I have confidence in our baby steps in search of appropriate processes and requires legal framework in minimizing the level of illicit financial outflows in our context and by its very nature of it being a cross-cutting and cross-border activity. or rather crime, it cannot be tackled with a single country approach. Thus, Namibia highly values the international stakeholders that are holding our hands, she said. According to Hinda Bwende, IFF's perpetuate Africa's economic dependence on external aid reflected in the development assistance portion within the budgets of African governments. The impact of IFFs in Africa is much more devastating, as annual estimates being siphoned from the continent is between $3 billion and $60 billion, and we are not confident it's all inclusive. It may exclude some elements of IFFs, Hinda Bwende said. Now, the human and social toll of corporate tax abuse is gigantic. It means less funding for not only infrastructure, but to education, health, nutrition, protection of women's rights, or environmental protection programs. Why do I even find it relevant to mention it here? It is for us to be reminded of the importance of the task at hand and the potential impact it added. Namibia alone was ineffective to deal with the scourge of IFFs and relied on the support of the international community to address it, Bwende said. No country can effectively eliminate illicit financial flows in silos, and Namibia is no exception. The cross-border nature of these flows requires close international cooperation. Combating illicit financial flows is a cornerstone of the human right economy and to building more fair and resilient societies that invest in human dignity, human rights, and justice, she said. Getting into our next story, despite progress in curtailing the trafficking of iconic species such as elephants, illegal wildlife trafficking continues unabated on a global scale. This is according to the 2024 World Wildlife Crime Report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, which takes stock of the efforts to counter poaching worldwide. The report highlights that wildlife trafficking has not seen a significant enough decrease over the past 2 decades, prompting a call for enhanced enforcement of existing laws, including measures to combat corruption on a global scale. There has been a tangible success against trafficking of some iconic species, while cross-border cooperation and criminalization of wildlife crime have both improved. Nevertheless, the magnitude of this illegal trade remains immense, affecting thousands of species of animals and plants and spanning more than 160 countries and territories. Much more work is urgently needed to tackle challenges, both chronic and emerging, according to the report. A key takeaway from the report points out that corruption has overtaken existing regulations and enforcement around wildlife crimes, while technology has accelerated the capacity of traffickers to reach global markets. For this reason, criminal justice responses should be modernized, strengthened, and harmonized from source to end markets. Between 2015 and 2021, seizures of 13 million items revealed an illegal trade involving approximately 4,000 plant and animal species across 162 countries and territories. Among the most commonly trafficked species were corals 16%, crocodiles 9%, and elephants 6%. Over the reporting period, law enforcement bodies confiscated 13 million items totaling more than 16,000 tons. The report further said that few estimates of the financial cost of enforcement action to address wildlife crime have been published, but they can be significant, especially in the context of developing economies. A national study in Namibia estimated in 2021 that expenditure required to curb illegal wildlife trade in the country was about 250 million Namibian dollars per year. It added that poverty may be a driving factor in the decision to poach for some, but poachers may not necessarily be acting in desperation. 2 research studies in Southern Africa involving wildlife crime offender interviews in Namibia and South Africa showed similar findings. The South African study involves interviews with 73 offenders incarcerated for offenses related to wildlife trafficking, including poaching, illegal trade in abalone, cycads, and rhino horn. Most were low-level participants in poaching, transport, or processing, and many were from marginalized communities who were either unemployed or informally employed with little access to alternative economic opportunity. Meanwhile, the Namibia study involved interviews with 45 male offenders incarcerated for offenses related to wildlife trafficking. Most of the offenders were low-level poachers or traders within the supply chain with limited knowledge of the market they were supplying. According to the report, they were either fully or partially employed, mostly in agriculture, but engaged in poaching/trading occasionally and on an opportunistic basis. On the other side of the break, we take a look at our community talk.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
In their fight against violence towards women, the SASA Together initiative today commissioned its first cohort of 16 community activists and 14 leaders from Tobias Hainyeko constituency. Speaking at the launch held at Onkoko Yepongo Community Center in Okuriangava, Charlene Wakura-Menwa, Project Hope Namibia's senior OVC and gender advisor, said its launch would see the trained 30 individuals go out to engage their respective communities in meaningful discussions about power relations and the factors contributing to gender-based violence. SASA Together is under the Reach Namibia initiative implemented by Project Hope Namibia and funded by PEPFAR through USAID.
The Reach Namibia activity implemented by Project Hope Namibia adopted the SASA Together approach to foster safer, more equitable communities. In April 2024, SASA Together coordinators received training on the start phase, followed by a baseline assessment in 3 clusters of the Khomas region. In May 2024, community activists and leaders from Tobias Hainyeko constituency were trained to engage their communities in meaningful discussions about power relations and the factors contributing to gender-based violence. We want to move away from just implementing programs. We want to get to the root of the program, and that starts with our thinking. How do we perceive gender-based violence? What are our thought patterns around gender-based violence? The time to act is now. Die tyd het aangebreek. Efimo opaife. Orubede onambano nai. Kiona nakuye. Let us commit to using SASA Together to create a future where women live free from violence, empowered to make their own decisions, and able to thrive in their communities. Thank you very much.
In April 2024, vehicle sales in Namibia fell to 899 units, down from 1,451 units in March. On the other side of the break, in our economic news, we expand on this.
Introducing 061 Express, brought to you by Synergy in proud partnership with Windhoek Express. Here's your chance to make your voice heard to celebrate the businesses that make Windhoek exceptional. From your favorite coffee spot to the salon that always gets your style just right. It's time to shine a spotlight on the gems of our city. Over the next 8 weeks, it's your chance to vote for your favorites to recognize the best of the best. Nominations open on the 25th of April and close on the 5th of May. To nominate your favorite business, simply save this number, 085-785-6231, and WhatsApp #061Express or scan the QR code below and follow the on-screen instructions. By nominating your favorites, you're not only supporting local businesses, but you also stand a chance to win your share of 50,000 Namibian dollars in cash. The voting process will be the same as the nominations process, using the Synergy chatbot and the #061Express. Voting opens on June 5th and closes on June 23rd. Make sure to cast your vote for the best of the best. The winners will be announced on June 28th. 061 Express, celebrating the heartbeat of Windhoek. Get ready to make your mark.
In April 2024, vehicle sales in Namibia fell to 899 units, down from 1,451 units in March and 1,004 units in April 2023, marking the lowest monthly sales recorded this year. This represents a negative growth rate of 38% on month-on-month and 10.5% year-on-year. The decline in sales was primarily driven by commercial vehicles, contributing to the overall drop compared to the previous month. Out of the 899 vehicles sold in April 2024, dealerships acquired 887 units, while rental agencies purchased 12 units, which constituted only 1.3% of the total monthly sales. Additionally, all vehicles sold to rental agencies were Toyota passenger vehicles with no sales records to government agencies. In April 2024, light commercial vehicles dominated with 433 units sold, indicating robust business and trade activities. Passenger vehicles follow closely with 411 units. The sales of extra heavy commercial vehicles at 39 units, along with medium and heavy commercial vehicles at 10 and 4 units, respectively, suggesting ongoing investment in infrastructure and industrial sectors. Moreover, only 2 buses were sold during this period. Let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.03, against the euro at 19.76, against the US dollar at 18.22. 2 Namibian dollars and 52 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the commodities market, gold, copper, and platinum went up, while Brent crude oil went down, trading at 0.13%, going for $83 and 67 cents per barrel. On the other side of the break, we take a look at our international news.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
In our international news, a report by the East African has disclosed that the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, and Zambia recently agreed to make trade across borders easier by signing a cooperation agreement under the regional bloc Southern African Development Community, SADC. Ministers from both countries tabled a rough framework for cooperation and an action plan that has been put together to reach a long-term solution to the difficulties transporters face. This point was emphasized by Peter Kazadi, the DRC Deputy Prime Minister in charge of the Interior and Security, who noted that the DRC is continually looking for a lasting solution to the problems linked to the Kasumbalesa border. The incessant calls from transporters in the SADC network about the difficulties they encounter daily in carrying out their activities have reached our ears, the Deputy Minister said. DRC is concerned about this situation, which is hampering the smooth flow of trade between our two countries. We've agreed to work together with Zambia and find a lasting solution to this situation, he added. Kazadi said meeting between ministers for both countries was an important step in the realization of the commitment of our two states, with the support of SADC, to overcome the obstacles hindering trade and cross-border traffic within the region. The incessant calls from transporters in the SADC network about the difficulties they encounter daily in carrying out their activities have reached our ears, Kazadi said. DRC is concerned about the situation, which is hampering the smooth flow of trade between our two countries. In our next story, the U.S. military has confirmed the first aid shipment via a temporary pier of Gaza has gone ashore. U.S. Central Command confirmed in a post on X that the 8 trucks began moving ashore at about 9 a.m. local time. This is an ongoing multinational effort to deliver additional aid to Palestinian civilians in Gaza via a maritime corridor that is entirely humanitarian in nature, the post read, adding that no U.S. troops went ashore. However, the UN has warned that the maritime corridor is not a replacement for land routes, which are seen as the quickest and most effective ways of delivering aid. In the coming days, around 500 tons of aid is expected to enter Gaza, according to U.S. Central Command. British personnel have been working with U.S. counterparts aboard RFA Cardigan Bay to build and operate the pier, the Ministry of Defense has confirmed. The newly operational pier off the coast of Gaza will enable truckloads of humanitarian aid to reach Palestinians in dire need, said Defense Secretary Grant Shapps. The U.S. began building the floating base weeks ago to facilitate the delivery of aid to Gaza as Israel continues its military campaign against Hamas. Hundreds of tons of aid arrived in Cyprus on Wednesday, where it was screened before being loaded onto commercial ships for delivery to the pier. Smaller U.S. military vessels capable of carrying between 5 and 15 lorries of aid will then transport it to a floating pier several hundreds of meters long, fixed to the beach in Gaza. The lorries will travel along the pier before dropping off the aid at a marshalling yard on the beach. Authorities said that the UN, primarily the World Food Programme, will be responsible for the onward distribution of the aid. After this short break, we take a look at our weather predictions.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
Getting into our weather predictions, Katima Mulilo can expect sunny weather with a minimum of 11 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 31 degrees Celsius. Vento can also expect sunny weather with a minimum of 11 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 26 degrees Celsius. Henties Bay can expect sunny weather conditions with a minimum of 19 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 35 degrees Celsius, while Oranjemund can expect partly cloudy conditions with a minimum of 15 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 25 degrees Celsius. That concludes the news from the news desk. We'll now head over to the sports desk, proudly brought to you by Sports Rep. From me, Glenn Rashipura. Until next time.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with golf news first, and it is the second major of the year on the men's calendar that started. It's the PGA being played at Valhalla in the United States of America. Difficult golf course, and the scores were actually quite low still in the first round. It is Xander Schauffele of America leading. He played a 62, that equals a record of the lowest first round in a PGA first round, and that is 9 under par. He's leading by 3 shots and over Tony Finau, also of the United States of America. A few of the early favourites also doing well in the first round. It is firstly Scotty Scheffler that came in with a round of -3. He's currently the world number 1. The form player, he won the Masters quite recently as well. And also some of the other form players, Rory McIlroy that won the previous weekend on the PGA. He came in with a 66, that is 5 under par, so well positioned after the first round. The defending champion in this PGA tournament is Brooks Koepka. He currently plays on the Live Golf Breakaway League, and he also had a solid first round of -4 in defending his title. Some of the other profile players is John Rahm that recently went to Live Golf, the Breakaway League, and he's been struggling with form the last few months, and he came in with a -1, but he's not out of contention at the moment. Southern African interest, the lowest score was Dean Burmeister with -2, also doing well and in line to make the cut at the PGA. Let's move on to boxing news. A big boxing match, heavyweights. It's a unification boxing fight that will take place over the weekend in Saudi Arabia. It will be Tyson Fury of England against Alexander Usyk of the Ukraine, and both of them unbeaten in their boxing careers. Firstly, Tyson Fury, he's at 35 fights. He drew 1 and he won 34 of those fights. And then Alexander Usyk also unbeaten in 21 fights. It's the first time in more than 20 years that there's unification heavyweight boxing fight. The last unification champion in the heavyweights was Lennox Lewis, and Lennox Lewis beat Evander Holyfield, and that is more than 20 years ago. And that fight is going to be Saturday in Saudi Arabia. Tyson Fury against Alexander Usyk. And to conclude today's international sports news, it is tennis news. It's Italian Open. It is finals weekend. Firstly, on the men's side, it's the semi-finals still needing to take place before the finals on Sunday. Alejandro Tabilo of Chile, he's number 29. He is still in the tournament. In the semi-finals, he earlier beat Novak Djokovic. He will play against Alexander Zverev. And then it is Nicolas Jarret that will play against Tommy Paul in the other semi-final, the final on Sunday. In the women's final on Saturday, that's been determined. Aryna Sabalenka, that will play the number 1 seed Iga Swiatek, that's the number 1 and 2 seed, again through to the final as they did 2 weeks ago in Madrid. It was Sabalenka that beat Danielle Collins, and Swiatek was too strong for Coco Gauff to reach the final. That final is on Saturday. That's international sports news for today. I hope you have a great sport day and sport weekend, and we talk international sport again on Monday. Goodbye.